Can I say something that might be a little controversial? I've been wanting to say that the gym is not always the answer, okay? There, I said it. Now, before you do come for me, I love the gym. I love working out. Movement is genuinely one of the most powerful things that you can do for your mental and your physical health. So I'm not here to tell you to stay on the couch. But I do want to talk about something that I see happen all the time with the women that I work with. And honestly, something I've lived myself. She knows what she should do. She has the plan. The gym bag is packed. The alarm is set. And yet, she cannot make herself go. And then she spends the rest of the day carrying the guilt of not going and on top of whatever she was already carrying. Does that sound familiar? Today, we're talking about seasons, about what your body and your nervous system actually need depending on where you are, about why forcing the right solution in the wrong season is just a different kind of self-abandonment, and about what happens when you stop overriding yourself and just actually start to listen. Because what I have watched happen in women, when they get that right, it is genuinely one of my most favorite things in the world. Welcome to the Next Era podcast. I'm Faizah Baldonado, life design strategist and founder of the Next Era. Let's get into this. So, I wanted to talk about a pattern that I see in session. A woman comes in, she's capable, she's intelligent, she's self-aware, she knows her stuff. She's probably read the book. She's done some version of the work, and she has this very clear picture of what she thinks she should be doing to feel better. And on top of that list, almost always is some version of, I need to get back to the gym, or the routine, or the early mornings, or the meal prep, or the thing that worked before, back when life was different, back when she had the energy for it, back when things were not quite this heavy. And I do want to be mindful here because I'm not dismissing any of those things. They are genuinely good for you. I mean, the research on movement and mental health alone is extraordinary. But here's a question that I always want to ask. What season are you in right now? Because what your nervous system needs when you are thriving is completely different from what it needs when you are depleted. And what worked in one chapter for your life may be the exact wrong medicine for this one. And the inability to read that, the insistence on applying the same solution regardless of the season, is costing us women enormously. Not just the energy it takes to do the thing, the energy it takes to feel bad about not doing the thing. And that is the part nobody talks about. So I wanted to share something that I'm genuinely obsessed with, and that is what actually happens in the brain and body when a woman stops overriding herself. There is this concept called the reticular activating system. Let's call it the RAS. It is essentially your brain's filtering system. And out of the millions of pieces of information that your senses are taking in every second, the RAS decides what gets your attention and what gets filtered out. And here is the thing that I find so fascinating. The RAS is tuned to what you value. When you genuinely start to value yourself, not as a concept or as something you know you should do, but as a real felt embodied thing, your brain literally starts filtering for evidence of that. She starts noticing things that confirm that she matters. Opportunities that were always there but invisible. People who show up differently because she's showing up differently. A parking space, a conversation, a moment that just feels like the universe is paying attention. And she comes into session and she says to me, I think I might be manifesting things. And honestly, I love that moment so much because what she is experiencing is real. The shift is real. The magnetism is real. It's just that the mechanism It's not really mystical, it's neurological. See, when you stop spending your energy overriding, pushing, performing, and forcing, and you direct that energy toward actually valuing yourself, your brain just reorganizes around that. It starts looking for confirmation of the new story rather than the old one, which is not woo. That is how the brain works. And it is one of the most exciting things that I get to watch happen. So let me tell you about a woman. I'll keep it private, no identifying details, just completely anonymous. But she came to me convinced that her problem was that she could not get to the gym. Her schedule was brutal. She was running on empty. She was doing the thing that capable women do so well, which is holding everything together while quietly falling apart on the inside. She had decided with complete and logical certainty that if she could just get herself to the gym 3 times a week, everything would be better. Now, she's not wrong. That movement would help her. But here is what was actually happening. Every morning, she woke up with the intention of going. Every morning, the schedule, the kids, the emails, everything got in the way. And every morning, she added one more item to the internal list of evidence that she was failing herself. And by the time she got to me, she was not just depleted, she was depleted and carrying the guilt of a gym that she was not going to. So I asked her, when was the last time you did something that genuinely nourished you? Not something that should nourish you, something that actually did. And she had to think about it for a while. And she said to me, well, I used to love just walking with no destination or agenda, just walking. And I said, so why are you not doing that? And she looked at me like I had said something slightly ridiculous. And then she said, well, because that does not count. That does not count. A slow walk, something that genuinely restored her, that she enjoyed, that required nothing of her exhausted nervous system, did not count because it wasn't hard enough, because it was not the right answer, because it did not look like what self-care is supposed to look like from the outside. This is what I want to say about that. In a season of depletion, soft is not weakness. Soft is medicine. The walk counts. The bath counts. The afternoon nap that you feel guilty about, that counts. The thing that feels almost embarrassingly gentle, that counts most of all, because you're not in a season of building capacity. You're in a season of restoring it. And those require completely different things. And I want to give you something practical here because I do think it is genuinely useful. There are broadly 2 kinds of seasons, and I'm simplifying it here, but bear with me. There are seasons of momentum where your energy is available and your nervous system is regulated and you have the internal resources to push, to build, to stretch, to challenge yourself. In these seasons, something like the gym is a great idea. The early mornings work so well. The discipline feels almost enjoyable because the energy is there to meet it. And then there are seasons of restoration. That's where your nervous system is working overtime just to get through the day, where your energy reserves are low, where you're running on the kind of tired that sleep, it doesn't fully fix. So in a restoration season, applying momentum season solutions does not make you stronger. It makes you more depleted. And the really important thing is you cannot think your way into knowing which season you are in. You have to feel it, which is exactly the problem for most of us high capacity women. Feeling it requires slowing down enough to notice it. And slowing down just feels like falling behind. So she keeps applying momentum solutions to a restoration season. And she keeps wondering why nothing is working. So here's the question that I want you to sit with. Not what should I be doing right now, but what does my body and nervous system actually need in this season? Those are very different questions. And the second one takes a whole lot more honesty to answer. Here's what I want to tell you about what happens on the other side of this. When a woman stops fighting her season and she starts working with it, something shifts. And I don't mean in this slow, subtle, barely noticeable kind of way. I mean, she walks into session 2 and she is different, visibly. The energy in the room is different. She's lighter, she is clearer, she is just standing slightly differently. And sometimes she can't even tell me what changed. She just knows something did. She set a boundary that she's been avoiding for months, and the world did not come to an end. Someone showed up for her in a way that they had not before. She had an interaction that left her feeling good about herself instead of drained. She woke up one morning and just felt okay. And then she starts connecting all the dots. The things she's been asking for, the ease, the clarity, the feeling of being in flow rather than having to force everything. They were not unavailable to her. They were being blocked by the constant override. The moment she stopped pushing against herself is the moment that things started moving. That is the RAS at work. That is myelination building new neural pathways. That is her nervous system finally getting the message that she is safe to be herself. And it is one of the most genuinely exciting things I get to witness. She comes in thinking the answer is the gym. She leaves understanding that the answer is herself. See, the gym can come later in a season where it actually serves her. Now, I want to be real with you. This is not a message about doing less forever. It is not permission to opt out of the things that are genuinely good for you indefinitely. This is just about accuracy, reading your season accurately, responding to where you actually are rather than where you think you should be, and giving yourself what you genuinely need instead of what the wellness industry tells you that you need. Because here is the thing about self-care when it is prescribed from the outside. What happens is it stops being care. It becomes another performance, another item on the list of ways that you are not quite measuring up. The real self-care is responsive. It is specific. It changes depending on the season, the week, the day. Some days it does look like a hard workout. Some days it looks like canceling the hard workout and then going for a walk instead. Some days it just looks like a conversation with someone who genuinely sees you. And some days it looks like an early night and nothing else. The measure is not what it looks like from the outside. The measure is whether you feel more like yourself afterwards. That is the only metric that matters. And I want you to remember that. I wanted to close with something personal because I've had seasons where I pushed through things that were asking me to slow down, where I applied momentum energy to restoration moments, where I added more when what I actually needed was less. And I really know what that costs. Not so much in, your typically dramatic way, but in the quiet way where you look up one day and you realize that you've been running on empty for longer than you can remember. And I have also had the experience of just getting it right, of reading the season accurately, of choosing the walk over the gym, the rest over the hustle, the nourishment over the performance. And what I've found every single time is that the season I was trying to push through was actually trying to build something in me. The restoration was not a delay. It was the preparation. The version of me that showed up after those seasons was more magnetic, more energized, more capable than the version that would have just pushed through. And not despite the softness, but because of it. So if you are in a restoration season right now, if the gym bag is packed and you can't make yourself go, If the routine that used to work feels impossible, if you are exhausted in a way that you cannot quite explain, I just want you to know that you're not failing. You are in a season that is asking something very specific of you. And the most intelligent, most self-aware, most genuinely productive thing that you can do right now is just to listen to it and give yourself what this season actually needs. Not what the last season needed, not what the next season will need, what this one needs. And that, my love, is self-leadership. That is the work. And it starts right here. That was something that's been on my heart today and actually the last few weeks. So if this landed somewhere real for you, just send me a DM, leave a review, share it with the woman in your life who needs to hear this. That is genuinely how this conversation reaches the people who need it the most. And if you're ready to stop guessing what season you're in and start actually understanding it, the next era experience is waiting for you. That's 9 lessons. That's life designed from the inside out. The link is in the episode info. So if you want to do this work privately, though, with real support and real depth and someone who is genuinely in your corner, Ascension might be for you. It's by application only, and there's details on that and a link to that somewhere below. So I want you to know that you may not be behind, you're likely not, okay? You're in it, and that's exactly where the work happens. So look after yourself. Until next time.